The ancient and medieval Indian subcontinent was a world in itself. Whenever we think of the great empires that ruled the region, we generally talk about the Mughals and later the British. Limiting our knowledge and discussion only to these well-known empires only scratches the surface of the vastness and the depth of the rich and ancient history of India. Unraveling the pre-European and the pre-Islamic history of India throws open a tale of some of the most magnanimous and powerful empires that ruled and prospered for centuries. The land of the Vedas and ancient mathematics had some of the brightest minds and most prosperous empires the world has ever seen. In contemporary history, pre-Islamic Indian empires are often overlooked, and very little is written and discussed about them, which not only creates a dearth in our knowledge, but also diminishes our understanding of the actual history of the Indian subcontinent that has seen numerous civilizations for eons. In today's episode of History Simplified, we take a look at the top 5 most powerful Indian empires before the Mughals and the British. While most of India's empires have been primarily land-based powers, the Chola Empire is unique in that it was a naval empire. The historian John Kay noted, "The idea that the sea could be political, a strategic commodity in its own right, dominated by a state rather than by a commercial competition, was a relatively new concept for Indians." The Cholas were based in Tamil Nadu and had been around as a minor state from the 2nd century BC. However, their imperial period began in the 10th century CE when they dominated all of South India. Due to geographic and topographic reasons, the projection of military power out of South Asia has always been difficult, leading to relatively little conquest of territories outside this region by South Asian states. However, South Asia's position on the sea is an exception to this rule, and a great naval power can use the region as a base to dominate the Indian Ocean. The Cholas knew this, as did the British later. The Cholas were famous for their maritime expeditions that gave them control over the Maldives, Sri Lanka, and the Malaysian-Indonesian archipelago by 1025 CE. Large portions of northern India and Southeast Asia's coasts were tributaries. After a period of decline, the Cholas were finally overthrown by a vassal in 1279 CE. The Pratyara Empire, which ruled from 650 CE to 1036 CE, also known as the Gurjara Pratyaras, is little known in the West and hardly better known in India. Yet it is one of the most consequential states in South Asian history, and its size and duration exceeded many other empires listed here. The empire originated among military clans in Western India after the fragmentation of the Gupta Empire. This period saw the rise of the Rajputs in the deserts of parts of Gujarat and Rajasthan, who were to play an important role in subsequent Indian history. The Rajputs were Kshatriyas, a caste of warriors and rulers who dedicated themselves to warfare, marital prowess, and fortification with a zeal previously not found in India. In this sense, they resembled the feudal knights emerging in Europe around the same time. Rajputs were fiercely independent and always had their fiefs autonomously, while also allying themselves to the Mughals and the British at various times. Shortly after the rise of the Pratyaras, they defeated Arab invaders at the Battle of Rajasthan in 738 AD, halting Muslim expansion into India for 300 more years. Later on, they set up a capital at Kannauj, near Delhi, and expanded into central India. In both western and central India, they set up a large number of fortifications, making these regions hard to conquer. More importantly, a more muscular form of Hinduism emerged in this period that provided the ideological basis for later resistance to Islam in a way that was not possible with Buddhism. Like most Indian empires, the Pratyara Empire eventually fragmented into multiple states, and Mahmud of Ghazni, an invader from Afghanistan, who took away a lot of gold and demolished temples, sacked Kannauj in the early 11th century, thus finally rooting out the Pratyaras. The Gupta Empire, which ruled from around 320 AD to 550 AD, was a great empire but also had a mixed record. The Gupta Empire was based in Magadha region and conquered much of South Asia. Though unlike the Maurya Empire, its territory was limited only to what it is today in North India. It was under Gupta rule that India enjoyed the height of its classical civilization, its golden age, when much of its famous literature and science was produced. Yet it was also under the Guptas that caste became rigid, while the decentralization of power to local rulers continued. After a period of initial expansion, the empire stabilized and did a great job of keeping out invaders like the Huns for 2 centuries. Indian civilization expanded into much of Bengal during this time, which was previously a lightly inhabited swampy area. The main achievements of the Guptas during this era of peace were artistic and intellectual. During this period, zero was first used and chess invented, and many other astronomical and mathematical theories were first elucidated, and many other scientific feats were reached. The Gupta Empire collapsed due to continuous invasion and fragmentation from local rulers. Power at this point increasingly shifted to regional rulers outside of the Ganges Valley. The Kushan Empire was one of the most important empires of ancient India and ruled from 135 BC to around 375 CE. The empire was founded in the Bactria region of northern Afghanistan by Yezidi nomads, who migrated there from Xinjiang in China due to Han Dynasty campaigns. Once there, they displaced the Greco-Bactrian kingdom and expanded over the Hindu Kush mountains into today's India and Pakistan. At the height of their empire, they controlled most of the Ganges Valley and an arc that extended through Afghanistan and Central Asia into Xinjiang. It was under their reign that trade routes developed between India, China, Persia, and Rome. Under the influence of the Kushans, who eventually moved their capitals to Peshawar in Pakistan and Mathura in India, Indian influence, especially Buddhism, became predominant across Central Asia. This tendency reached its height under the Emperor Kanishka, who convened the Fourth Buddhist Council, essentially converting Buddhism into a state religion. Kanishka also expanded his empire deep into central India. Ultimately, however, the empire fragmented into many principalities and was replaced in North India by the Gupta Empire, while its Afghan territories became tributary to the Persian Sassanid Empire. The Mauryan Empire, which ruled throughout India from 320 BC to around 185 BC, was the first major historical Indian empire and definitely the largest one created by an Indian dynasty. The empire arose as a consequence of state consolidation in northern India, which led to one state, Magadha, in today's Bihar, dominating the Ganges plain. In the wake of Alexander the Great's invasion of northwest India, Chandragupta Maurya took over Magadha and created the Mauryan Empire. The empire was initially very successful both internally and in terms of foreign policy. Many of its policies were set out by Chanakya, Chandragupta's minister, who wrote a book advocating a strong, centralized authoritarian state, the Arthashastra. After a treaty with Alexander's generals, the empire acquired territory in Afghanistan and even in Iran. By the time of Chandragupta's grandson's reign, the empire included most of South Asia except the southernmost part of it. This grandson and one of the most famous rulers from India, Ashoka, is famous for having embraced Buddhism due to remorse after his bloody conquest of Kalinga around 260 BC. The Mauryan Empire collapsed not too long after Ashoka's death in around 232 BC. Some historians have argued that the elevation of Buddhism was responsible for this, as it is not as compatible with running a state as Hinduism. However, the empire's fragmentation reveals the problems of actually maintaining an empire in a region as diverse as South Asia. Despite Chanakya's book, the empire depended less on institutions than on able rulers. the lack of which doomed it and led to increasing local rule. Indigenous Indian empires and rulers ruled the subcontinents for centuries before the Muslims and later the British invaded. After the defeat of a Hindu coalition by Muhammad of Ghori in 1192 CE, Islamic rule began over much of northern India and thus ended the rule of indigenous empires in most of central and north India, and foreign rule continued until the end of the British rule in 1947. India was one of the most advanced and prosperous civilizations of the ancient and medieval world and witnessed the real ebb and flow of human civilizations worth eons in time. I hope you have liked this kind of video. Please subscribe to my channel History Simplified for more content like this. Stay informed, stay safe, and I will catch you on the next one.